What up, my people? ¿Qué pasa, mi gente? Welcome, bienvenidos to another episode, otro episodio de Hoy en Día TV. I'm your host and producer, Yessie Rodriguez, and I'm going to bring on to the stage my amazing co-host, Dr. Cece Dilly, the Actionist. Yes! How's it going, my dear?
Hey. Yes, life is lovely on this beautiful, terrific, fantastic Thursday. I'm loving it. It's a little gloomy outside today. We got some rain, but y'all know me. I'm loving the rain because I don't have to water my lawn.
I love that. Yeah.
Did you get any rain today?
Yeah, it rained over here by us. Actually, thunderstorms, and it was pretty heavy. But it's interesting because it's like you can feel fall making its way through. It's like over summer, I'm making my way in there, So now I will say it's bittersweet because I do appreciate the fall, right? I appreciate what it represents and the change in the climate and the apple ciders and the pumpkins and just the scented candles. But I also love me some summer, though. I love just not to put on so much motete. And Puerto Rico motete is like you're putting too much stuff on, right? Because then you got to enter from fall to winter, and then you really got to put more motete on. And it's like, ugh. So that's the only thing.
Yes, I love fall. I love fall. I love spring because those two temperatures and those seasons are like they're doable. You know what I'm saying? You're not too hot, you're not too cold. It's just like perfect. And I have noticed that the mornings have been getting up here, maybe just for maybe 2-3 mornings. It's been a little bit cooler, so I'm like, yay! And even like throughout the day a little bit, it's kind of a little bit cooler where you can kind of go out and walk and not be like on fire, right? My arms are like so brown. I'm brown anyway, but I'm like I'm really brown. Just when the sun beaming on you, but I'm loving it. And yep, you're right. Fall is making its way.
It is making its way. So what's one of the favorite fall activities you enjoy doing?
So I love sitting out on my patio on the deck. I love even now, like I'm out on the front porch, and then if the sun starts to come that way, I'll go to the back patio just to like sit out there, to just write, even do work out there. Like it's just I love it because I'm getting the fresh air. I'm hearing the birds, of course, the cars and people and all that kind of stuff. And but I love it, and I love the fact that I can kind of wear my boots. You know what I'm saying? Because it starts to get a little cooler, and I like putting on those boots. Those boots are so comfy, cozy, and they go with everything, right? Everybody's wearing those Uggs boots, just they're really nice, and I just love it. And then like here, like because I'm from Florida, and we get the changes of the season where I'm at in Florida, Northeast, because like more, it's kind of not the case, but here you get to see all of the pretty colors. I love seeing the trees turn from green to like orange and yellow, and all the beautiful fall is beautiful. And sometimes when we're just driving down like the Falls of Neuse and just looking at all it's like a panoramic. It's a postcard. You could just take a picture and just send in a postcard, and they'll think you're somewhere in one of these most exotic places, and it's just like down the street from my house, but because of all of the beautiful trees turning all of the different colors. I love it.
Yes, I love it too. You know what, sis? For me, I really appreciate going to like the different farms, especially taking my son there, and because he enjoys those too. And then the ones that have like the bouncy houses. There's a really nice one out in Youngsville that we like to go to, which my goal is to make it out there too. But even there, like they have a really nice pumpkin farm, but then they turn it into like a haunted I think it's called Spooky Woods or something like that. Because I like those type of attractions. And I know some people are like, you like spooky stuff, but I'm like, it's more about knowing that it's like it's somebody dressed up, it's an actor dressed up, making it seem like there's something. But yes, that's what I appreciate. Just the pumpkin farms, and those are some of my favorite fall activities. And just when the coffee shops switch over to like the pumpkin spice lattes or the apple cider latte or stuff like that. Those are favorite as well. Yes. And then approaching like Thanksgiving, right? And understanding that with Thanksgiving, it's about reuniting. So that whole fall concept is what I do appreciate. So yeah.
I love that too. That's awesome. I forgot about all the farms and the pumpkin patches. And I love it.
Oh, yes, girl. I look forward to that for sure. Yes. So we're going to switch over to some trending topics, sis. So I came across a really interesting post about social media. So apparently, Meta just reached a settlement worth roughly $18 billion over allegations involving the impact of Facebook and Instagram on children and teens. So new protections include a 2-hour daily limit for minors, restrictions from midnight to 6 a.m. with age
Mhm.
verification measures, and hiding like counts. So Meta denies wrongdoing, and critics are already saying the changes may not go far enough. So there's a couple of things here, right, that we have to keep in mind. Is 2 hours of social media too much for teenagers? Should social media shut off automatically for kids at midnight? And at what point is the platform responsibility versus the parent's responsibility? Now, you know me, I'm all about parents. Be a parent. And that's what really gets under my skin, especially because I'm a parent myself, so I can speak on this. Once you, whoever, decides to be a parent, it is your responsibility, tu responsabilidad, to watch over the child. Don't give them a tablet or a cell phone and say, hey, Billy, hey, Susie, hey, Peter, whoever, watch this. What, like, you have to make sure you know what they're doing, what they're watching, who they're interacting with, right? Like, it is not these platforms that are out here. They, personally, I don't feel like it's their fault. It's the parents' fault. The parents need to be held liable. That's my thought, because it's like, you're the parent. Why are you even allowing your child to be on these social media platforms, knowing that there's a lot of predators that hide behind that? And then they're the main ones that wonder, oh, what happened to Susie and Peter? Well, duh, you let your kid be on social media. I mean, come on, let's put two and two together here. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think it falls on both. I think, companies, I think they also have a social responsibility for products, for technology, for all those types of things. I do believe that they do have a responsibility, if it's nothing more than just putting out a disclaimer, right? Just to let people know what you're kind of getting into, what they're about, that kind of thing. It does fall back on the parent as well, because you have to parent. You have to make sure that you do have the safeguards in place, and it's the company's responsibility to make sure that they have something within the settings, right, that parents can utilize to help safeguard their children. I believe truly, not just kids, but even adults. Like back in the day, there was like the TV would go off. Right at a certain time, it was just like fuzz on the TV and stuff. It would just shut down, like, between these hours. I'm like, do we need to go back to that? Because that means when the TV was off, everybody was probably in bed and asleep. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's the thing of control, right? Like everybody's trying to control something. And it's like a lot of the control has been taken away. I just feel that if we work together, business wise, organizations, institutions, these, companies, and then also with families, I think we can make it better. I saw that what you're talking about this morning. I saw it on the news and I was like, this is great. And they said they had some of these safeguards put in place, and it's probably going to open up more, so parents can kind of change it to where it fits their lifestyle, because every family is different, for them to be able to put up these things. But I believe it's important for them to have that kind of stuff. Do I believe that they should be sued? I mean, we kind of get into the red tape and some of the sticky waters with that. I do believe that, because America, truly America, maybe other parts of the world, I don't know, we are truly so happy. Just, I think, all of this litigious society, I think it's just gone overboard, with it. They can sue you for anything. Oh, you looked at me crazy, I'm going to sue you. Like, seriously? I just think some of this stuff should not be in our court system. Some of these cases should be thrown out. I believe that you should be fined if you bring a dumb case, right, to the court of law, and you're wasting taxpayers' time and dollars, right? Because when these things take trial, that's jurors that have to come. Jurors don't get paid barely anything sitting through these trials. You're taking away from your family. You're taking money off of your table because you can't work, because you're mandated to be there. So it's just like a whole lot of things, And when I say dumb cases, I mean like the guy, or I don't know if it was a guy or a woman, but it was a person that sued, McDonald's because the coffee was hot. I mean, duh, coffee is hot. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me. Yes. I mean, this is years and years and years ago, but it was just dumb stuff. And I feel like things like that, like, they should be fined for even that ludicrous. Ludicrous. I remember Steve Harvey, he had a show on where he was the judge, and he was like, I'm the common sense kind of guy. And I loved his take on everything, because he was throwing out all the tomfoolery out to the side. But back to what we were saying, I believe it is it's a twofold. I believe companies have a responsibility to the public in which they serve, to be able to um, make sure, getting some feedback there, to be able to make sure, that they do have safeguards and things set in place that, families can use. And then also it has to go back to the parent, right? Making sure that you have things in place and watching your children. You shouldn't just, like you said, leaving them alone on a tablet or something like that, because, it gives you time to sleep in or gives you time to go do your stuff. You got to be there. In my home, there's no TVs in my children's room, because they're in the, they're in the in our loft area, and then downstairs in the living room. So I can see what they're watching. I can hear what they're watching. Everybody can see. And that kind of helps me. I'm like, if I put it in their room and then I go to bed early, they can be on there watching anything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm right there with you. I think it is, both parties' responsibility to a certain point.
Yeah, and you make some excellent points, and I'm really glad you share that, because I see where your perspective is, and I agree with you. And I think for me, even if they put like enter your date of birth, kids can easily lie and say they were born in 1980, right? So like, how are they going to are they going to request for some sort of ID? Like, that's my main question that sits in the back. I mean, I get it, they're doing their part to cover it, but again, this is where the parent steps in to make sure that every duck is in a row for their child, right? And so along these topics, I did some quick research here, and there's some strong data that points to a correlation with social media uses, not necessarily just Facebook or Instagram, but any type of social media usage with affiliation or correlation to kidnapping. So the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children studied 476 children who went missing between 2020 and 2023 after being enticed online. There were serious cases in which, and this is only what was reported. So again, 476 is only what was reported. We don't know what other outliers are there with that data. But for this data specifically, there were serious cases in which an offender ultimately met the child in person for a sexual offense or potential abduction. Among those cases, only 59% involved children were, well, only, because I say only because they were all children, 59% involved of those children were 15 and under. 41% of the offenders were more than 10 years older than the child. And the 5 most common platforms where the conversations took place and happened was Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Discord, and TikTok. So this same NCMEC also found that roughly 1/3 were recovered in a different state from where they disappeared. So thankfully, 98% of the children in that study were ultimately recovered. But that just shows you, again, this is where the parents have to step in. You need to know who your kids are talking to, even outside. Like the other day, I was walking around with my son, and I saw 2 little kids. They looked like they were 8 and 9, just on a bike by themselves. And I'm like, where are your parents?
Wow.
Where are your parents? Either because, and they were in the middle of the street too. So a car could have easily came and hit them. And then guess who would have been at fault? The driver, because they're kids. But where are the parents?
Right.
Right. So even with that, I felt that was unfair, because yeah, I get it. We have to be responsible drivers. But if this kid driving the bicycle, they hit a blind spot of the driver and something catastrophic happens, I mean, that's unfortunate. The driver didn't mean to hit a child. Right. So I was just thinking of these situations here where it's like, it's not fair.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. I was going down one of the busy highways by the mall. And these motorbikes, these scooters, and all these electric vehicles, like the children, they're out of control. Yeah. Because these are young kids, teenage kids, and they are not obeying the rules of the road. They are getting out with regular traffic, right, and not staying on the sidewalks. It's out of control. And I was so, my nerves were shook, because these kids were out there. It was like a whole little pack of them, and they were waiting for the light to change, so they could go. I was happy about that, waiting, kind of crossing the crosswalk, but I guess it was taking too long, because that's one of the busy intersections. So they get a lot of traffic through. So they got tired of waiting. And so they just turned back around. They got back on and I was happy that they got back on the sidewalks, but I saw a kid just going down the street, no any kind of safety gear on, no helmet. He was in like sneakers and some shorts and like a little like wife beater kind of t-shirt kind of thing, and just going down the highway, doing little, the little, I don't know what you call
it, the wheelies and the tires and stuff.
Yeah, in like traffic, like I'm driving where this kid, and I'm like, You should not be on the road. And I do know that these bikes, some of them do go like the speed limit. Some of them go like 45, 35, 50 miles an hour. But I'm like, this is insane. Like, I believe those kids, the parents should be fined, or at least, taken home, the police or something, to give them a talking to be like, ma'am, sir, your children can't be out here, especially without safety. When you ride a bicycle, you got to have a helmet. So now you're at home, these motorized vehicles with no helmets. Like, that puts you at so much danger. It's like anytime my kids are on a skateboard, bicycle, whatever the case, and we have all the motorized stuff too, but you're going to have on a helmet. You're going to have on some knee pads, maybe some elbow pads too. Have on a whole umpire uniform or something.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you about being safe, because like 10 years ago, I was at a roller skating rink, and I slipped and fell, and I fractured my wrist just like that, out of no reason. So I agree with you in correlation to the bicycles and e-scooters and all that. Yes, people should definitely be protected, especially your head, because if something happens, your head is going to get, you hit it really hard, and yikes, that's tough to recover.
Exactly.
But you read my mind, though, because that was going to be my response to you, to what you're saying, finding the parents. I honestly believe that once this starts happening, it takes a politician or a bill to pass to say, hey, parents, if we catch your child outside and they're under a certain age and you are not there with them, you are going to be fined. And guess how quick that is going to stop? And I'm sure the state will love it, because that's going to increase their revenue some more, right? So I'm just saying, politicians, if y'all listening, this might be the way to go, because something needs to change for the better, right? Because even look what happened 4th of July over by the Briar Creek area with the fireworks situation. There was like a riot of kids. Downtown Raleigh, a riot of kids. Teenagers have no business out there. Why are they out there? Where are your parents?
Yes. There needs to be accountability. And this is not the day and age. Like, I remember growing up and people say, oh, I remember. Times were different. It was, yeah, but not so different. There were always dangers. There was always the new next thing. And parents were always worried and concerned, And I just remember, like in my neighborhood, like everybody knew everybody. That's like neighbors knew their neighbors. And everybody was allowed to discipline your child. Not say like beat your kid or anything, but be like, hey, I see what you're doing. You better stop that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell your mom. I'm going to tell your dad. So it was eyes out, looking out for your children. So kids knew if I'm outside and playing and something's going on, even though my mom and dad might not be outside, my neighbor, my cousin, somebody is there. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna tell. And you knew they were gonna tell, because they were right knock on your door. Like, I saw your kid out there. You're like, what? So it was eyes everywhere. And now we're in this era where that doesn't happen, and it hasn't changed, right? It still takes a community to raise, right, children. It takes community to help others. You know what I'm saying? It takes people helping people, and no one has anybody's backs anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, well, you just go do your thing, and you go and I'm going to mind my business and this, because the world has just changed so drastically, and not for the better. And so people just want to kind of stay in their little bubbles or not get involved. And it breaks my heart, because we need community. We need community on every area, whether it's a child, whether it's an adult. We need each other, and we have to look out for each other. And you cannot, a friend was telling me the other day, some gentleman pulled over to help this lady who was broke down on the side of the road, and he did whatever he needed to do to her car to get her on her way. Well, as she was driving, she got to where she needed to be, but something with the car went wrong. Don't you know that this lady sued the Good Samaritan? Like, that's the kind of stuff to be like, you don't want to help anybody. It's like, this guy pulled over, helped you get out of this fix to, whatever, you Jimmy rigged the car to do whatever, but to get her to a safe place. And then because the car was already doing something crazy, right? Because it wasn't totally his fault. And when she took it to the mechanic, but whatever he did, I guess maybe it made the problem worse. I don't know. But in that situation, she sued him. And so that's why people don't pull over to help. That's why people are very cautious. And I don't blame them, because it's just the way of the world, and it's sad. It's like, we have to begin to change that, truly. I wanted to piggyback on what you said about those children being recovered, because you probably already seen or heard. I haven't seen it on mainstream news, which is sad to say, but 163 children were recovered in Florida, which was a blessing. Yes, from and it was talking about, I had wrote this down. It was talking about by my notes here. It was 163 children that were recovered there in Florida, and either it was runaways that they had found, or it was people that maybe was human trafficked, or it was maybe just parental custody fights, or just parental neglect. But it was children ranging from the age of 2 to 17. That's crazy. And so I'm just so happy because, God is amazing. I remember this was last year and also this year, but we have been praying and like fasting for children to be found. Like we're just saying, God, please let children be found. Let them return to good families. You know what I'm saying? And get them out of these harmful ways. And so when we saw the report just here, this morning we saw the report, I was so excited. I was so happy. I was like, God answers prayer. He really, really does. And I'm just so glad those children were reunited. And you can see like the whole clip, the cops are there, they're bringing the kiddos out and that kind of thing. And so I'm just happy that, we're finding children. I'm happy that we're finding missing people. That's a lot, 163. And I know there's probably, well, we do know that there's many, many, many more, but we just can continue to pray that they will be recovered and brought back home safely.
That's amazing. And I'm glad you brought that to light because I didn't even hear about that. So yeah, I'm looking it up now. This actually happened announced August 25th. The operation was called Operation Statewide Shield, a 5-day effort led by Florida Department of Law Enforcement with state, local, federal, child welfare, medical, nonprofit, and other partners involved. So officials say they located and recovered 163 children, just like you stated, ranging from 2 months to 17 years of age. Florida described it 2 months. I know, right? Yeah. Florida described it as the state's first state-led wide child recovery initiative and one of the largest child recovery operations in U.S. history. So they made history that day. They made history. So the children were recovered across several Florida regions. So we had 46 in Tampa Bay, 41 in Miami, 32 in Jacksonville, 21 in Orlando, 12 in Fort Myers, 8 in Pensacola, and 3 in Tallahassee area. Officials also said the work led to recoveries or locations connected to 6 other states, 1 U.S. territory, and 12 countries. So there's a lot more. And now when it comes to this, these are missing and endangered children with different circumstances. So Florida officials said many had experienced either abuse, neglect, exploitation, human trafficking, or exposure to other criminal activity. Some may have been runaways, like you mentioned earlier, children removed from proper custody, trafficking victims, or children otherwise considered to be endangered. So, wow, that's impressive, Florida. Way to go.
Yeah. Wow. There's a war, for our children, between the forces of good and evil, and good always prevails. Sometimes you got to go through some of the things that you go through, but good always prevails. And this is good prevailing, but I have not seen it. I have not seen that in like mainstream media. I haven't seen it. This was just like on social media that we, so I'm like, why isn't this on mainstream media? I haven't seen it. Maybe I've missed it. And I was watching news all day today, and I have not seen it, which is sad. Very, very sad.
But I can tell you why. I know why, because members programming and positive news like that.
Yeah.
Do you think they want to highlight that?
You're right.
But guess what? Here in Oandia, we do. That's where we're different, because we are here to positively motivate, educate, inspire, enlighten, and entertain you, all the viewers and listeners, with each and every episode. Yes, absolutely. So, sis, how about this? I'm going to share a story with you, and I'm going to get to the correlation before we bring on our special guest here. So a couple months ago, it was kind of late. I mean, about 8 or 9-ish. I was in the mood for Indian food. And I'm not going to name a restaurant, but I'll name a genre of food. And so I ordered my usual. This was my first time trying this new place, because it was open, because all the other spots that I usually go to, they were closed. So I get the curried chicken because I like their soup, their spiciness. I have a thing for spice. And all of a sudden, the next day, well, actually not even the next day, a few hours later, I feel sick to my stomach. And I have a strong feeling that meat was fake processed meat. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because, and I'm sharing this story for us to say that, for you all to know that some foods can be manufactured using 3D printing technology. It is legal in the US. And certain cell cultivated meat products have also passed US regulatory review. These are two different technologies and both remain subject to food safety and labeling requirements, but businesses are using them. And I have a feeling that that business that I went to that day used it, and I'm no longer ever going to step foot on that. But this is what's actually happening. 3D printed food does exist. So a food printer, now when you think of printer, I think of paper, ink, but not a food printer, right? Like that's just boggles my mind there. Can deposit edible ingredients layered by layers. So layer by layers, literally printing the meat for you. So this happens to chocolate, dough, vegetables, puree, plant proteins, meats, etc. So think of it most like highly sophisticated piping machine than a printer creating food out of plastic, which I don't know. Out of plastic, that's the key word right there, y'all. Also, cell cultivated or lab grown meat also exists, and that's a different technology. Animal cells are grown in controlled vessels and then processed into food. FDA and USDA have had a formal regulatory system for these types of products, and this has been happening since 2019. I had no idea. Since 2019, we're in 2026. FDA completed its first pre-marketed consultation for cultivated chicken in November of 2022, and the first USDA authorized cultivated chicken products entered the US market in 2023. So I said a mouthful there. Any thoughts on that?
A lot of thoughts on that, and shame on the US. Truly, shame on the US. FDA, shame on you. USDA, shame on you. Shame on the scientists. Shame on all of the people that are involved in this. How can you pass 3D printed food onto human beings? The food that we were made to eat were animal products and products that were grown from the earth with seeds, right? How God intended. And what person wants to eat fake food? So a lot of so they are making us sick. Eating plastic makes you sick. Your body doesn't process that stuff. I don't care how they try to pitch it, how they try to sell it. You can better bet your bottom dollar that the rich, the elites are not eating this stuff. This is a way to, I believe, to reduce the population. Bill Gates, he talks about it all the time. You just got to listen to what they say. You got to see all of the shows and in the media that's out there regarding these types of things. It's very sad. It's interesting that you missed to mention that, because I was going to mention a thing about them making plastic biscuits out of recycled waste. Recycled waste, stuff that we recycle and to use it for other things, but now they want to make your food out of this recycled waste. This is out of the Southern Illinois. It was a scientist there at the Southern Illinois University, and they said this is going to help answer the food shortage problem, right? And it's also with the plastic, they basically convert it, right? It's engineered yeast. Anything engineered is not real. Bioengineered is not real. So it's an engineered yeast, right? That's going to be able to kind of help convert these foods, this plastic, into food to be able to help people who wants to, I don't want that. What is that doing to my body? That's killing me. It's almost like instantaneously clogging your arteries. And all of the science is not out there yet. We are the science. We are the test. And so we're coming into these doctors' offices, and I don't even know if these medical professionals are even asking the questions about, probably like, what are you eating? But not just what are you eating, like truly, what are you eating? Is this bioengineered? Because I haven't gotten any questionnaires when I go into medical to see my physician for a checkup. They want to know what I'm eating. But the question is, are you eating real food, or is it bioengineered? Because that's something completely separate. You understand? And I know that we have someone else new in office, that President Trump. It's the young lady. I cannot think of her name. It is literally escaping me. And Kennedy, he spoke on, and I thought he was supposed to be out there doing some stuff. But shame, shame, shame. I'm hoping that this lady gets the handle on everything and ban this stuff. We, as the people of the United States of America, have got to rise up and say, no, enough is enough. This plastic that you're eating, think about nursing mothers, right? Think about babies in utero. What's going to happen to these kiddos? What kind of birth defects are going to come from that? You know, and we are the science, right? Here's the thing, you know, because we have great access to technology, there on foods in your marketplace, right? You have to eat kosher. And there's a whole listing of symbols that are out there for these foods in which still the elites, right? The rich, the people that can do, the people that know they're in the know, right? They know. Those are the products that they're consuming, because those are the products that are not bioengineered. These are not these fake, phony foods. So you have to look for the symbols. I actually have a list. And maybe we should post it somewhere on the site or something so people can see and just share that kind of stuff. But look for videos out there about symbols for kosher food, because that food is indeed real food. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just shame on them for that. It's not good. And each day, like, you know, even us, we go out and we eat, and I'm like, the food just tastes awful. It tastes, because it's not real food.
Right.
You don't know what you're getting. And when my child can even taste the difference, I mean, he's only been on the planet for 9 years. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, this just does it, because baby is not. And we're not going to get that anymore. And I go in the grocery store, and it's literally like a job. I've said this before, because I have to read the labels. It takes me forever, because the things that I used to get, those staple products and these brands, right? You know, I love them, and I can't, because every single thing is bioengineered. Stop all of the marketing. Stop all of the lies and the bigotry and putting all this marketing. Let real food be real food. People shouldn't have to choose. Like, we're literally, it's like death in a grocery store. You just never know what you're going to get. You just never know what you're going to eat. It's like death in the restaurant. You just never know what you're going to get. And something has to be done. We as a people, something has to be done. And it gets me really, really upset, when we talk about this kind of stuff. But I'm sorry that you became ill from that. But I bet your bottom dollar, you're probably absolutely right. Our farms are in labs now, and they're just printing up food. Like, we just print up paper and print, with ink and stuff, like, this is crazy, because you got to add coloring to this stuff too. And we already have bans on like the red dyes and all that kind of stuff, but you're putting all the coloring in here. They can mimic eggs, y'all. They can mimic fish. They can mimic so many things. It's fake. I don't want fake. I'm not a fake person. I definitely don't want fake food. I want real food to go into a real human body to sustain me, right? So that I don't have all of the health elements. I believe that people truly we don't have all of this diabetes epidemic and hypertension. I believe it's our bodies trying to fight off all of this plastic and fake stuff in our bodies, and it's not real. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, something has to be done about this.
Mic drop. Yes. Mic drop, sis. Thank you. You said so many beautiful things and drop so many nuggets, jewels. Like, let's do this next week. You said you have a list. Bring that list. And then you talked about food shortage. I think I know why. And this comes from me watching Bizarre Foods, but we're going to actually spotlight that even further next week, because I have some thoughts on that, but I know we have our guests waiting for us here. But let's bring this topic back up. Let's revisit it. And I'm sure by then we'll have Nadine, because I'm curious to hear her thoughts, because this is a serious topic that people need to take seriously. Like you just said, this is us and what we're eating. This is why a lot of people are sick, because it is part of the population control. I do have some possible solutions that I want to share with you all. I'm sure you do as well, CC. So let's revisit this topic next week for part 2, because this definitely deserves extra attention. This affects our day-to-day, our families, and our livelihood, right? So, all right, well, let's go ahead and a quick sponsor break, and then we will bring our special guests shortly. So don't go anywhere. Hoy en Dia TV will be right back. Yes.
A bold builder of people, purpose, and platforms, Girls with Gigs helps high performers and those desiring to achieve more shift mindsets and activate purpose. Whether it's career or leadership development, personal branding, or knowing your worth, in the job market, transformation has never been closer, because this is where purpose meets action and dreams become destiny. Book your free consultation today at www.girlswithgigs.com.
Are you looking for the perfect shirt for that special occasion? At Collective Custom Wear, we bring your vision to life. From weddings, family reunions, anniversaries, or casual outing with friends, express yourself with your unique style and leave a memorable mark. Order now. Our custom shirts are designed just for you.
At Cab Zenza, we believe beauty is a ritual, not just a routine. Rooted in intention and inspired by nature, our skincare is crafted to nourish more than just the skin. It nourishes the spirit. Every jar is made with purpose. Because when you flourish inside, it shows on the outside. Cab Zenza's isn't skincare, soul care.
From the moment that I put this Cab Zenza on my skin, it feels most amazing. As you can see, it has your skin glistening, it's moisturizing. You too should get Cab Zenza.
Luxurious body butters.
Sponsored by Divine Beauty and Accessories. Watch Oyendia TV, Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Big shout out to the sponsors of Oyendia TV. We have an array of sponsors, and if you all want to be a sponsor on Oyendia to showcase your business, we are here to help. You are at the right place. Simply email oyendiatv@gmail.com. It is actually scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Subject line, sponsor. You can also go on yessierodriguez.com, select Oyendia dropdown. That's the page for us here where you can hear us, find us, and also submit a request to be a sponsor as well. So thank you all so much for your support. All right, my dear. Well, it is the moment we've been waiting. In addition to all these juicy conversations we've been having here today, of course, of our special guest who has also been patiently waiting behind the scenes for us. So yes. So today we have a North Carolina-based entrepreneur, real estate investor, and photographer whose journey reflects the courage that it takes to build a new path with purpose. After spending more than 2 decades in the corporate world, our guest has shifted his focus towards entrepreneurship, real estate investing, and creating a greater financial freedom for himself and for his family. His real estate journey has included rental properties, renovations, property flips, land deals, creative investment strategies throughout North Carolina, and so much more. Along the way, he has learned that entrepreneurship is rarely a straight path, and that's true. It's not cut and dry like many people think. It requires making really difficult decisions, right? Managing that risk, learning from the setbacks, and having the flexibility to pivot, to adjust, and continue with the plan when necessary. So beyond real estate, our guest is also the founder of Byron Ferrell Photography. I know, I gave it away. BFP Creative, where he brings together his passion for photography, branding, and creative storytelling. Today, our guest Byron remains focused on growing as an investor, entrepreneurship, building long-term wealth, and creating a meaningful legacy for his children. He joins us to share his experiences, the lesson he has learned, and what it truly takes to keep moving forward when the journey does not go exactly how you have it planned. So without further ado, welcome our guest today, Byron Ferrell.
Thank you guys for having me.
Byron, and I apologize. Am I saying your last name correct or incorrect?
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure because there was another past episode where I was calling somebody Fries as the last name and it was Freeze. I just want to make sure. Yeah, CC remembers that one. And then he corrected me, like, it's actually Freeze. I'm like, I'm sorry, I was calling you Fries.
No, you're actually saying it right. I had a lot of people who have messed it up, but you're saying it right.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. Well, welcome to Oyendia. We're truly thrilled to have you on. So in a nutshell, who do you say you are, Byron?
Well, you kind of read it out, that pretty much sums who I am, I'm a father as well. Maybe I kind of, I don't know if I put that in there, but that's one of my number one things has been a father to my 2 boys, Nigel and Nolan. One just started high school. So that's been a challenge for the last couple days. And also I have a 8-year-old. So yeah, other than that, focusing on, the photography business, the real estate business, and just all out entrepreneurs and trying to teach others, the power of investments.
That is amazing. I love that. So I am the one when I usually start to show that I like to start from the beginning, right? CC and Nadine, they usually go with what's current, but with me, I like to really know the foundation of your story. So with my question, is going to take it all the way to the beginning because I want to understand who you were when you were younger and what really motivated you to get into the mindset of where you are today. So walk us through that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Um, Younger me. Okay. That's a good question, Jesse. I was actually raised by my great aunt. So she raised me up. Rest in peace to her. She actually raised she raised my mom and her siblings and everything because my grandmother passed at an well, actually, when my mom was really young. So she kind of raised us all up. So pretty much came through our house. She was just like grandmother. And just from her and my uncle, which is not her brother, it's her nephew as well. They just instilled hard work into me. They was my uncle was with military. He actually passed away in 2022, and my best friend, he instilled a lot into me as well. And just watching him and his journey, he really got me into the real estate and just my aunt, just the wisdom that she gave me growing up. I don't think I would be the person I am without her. Yep.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, that's awesome. So when you were younger, did you, outside of your aunt with her wisdom and then your best friend, like, did you really have an idea that this is really what you wanted to do? Or how did you make your mind to say, I want to focus on photography, real estate, entrepreneurship, etc.?
No, I didn't have any idea on this is what I wanted to do. So you know growing up, I guess a lot of um, people get the notion of you go to school, get a job, work till you're 55, retire, and live your life or whatever. But as I was growing up, I actually seen a lot of people hustling, whether it be legal or illegal, but I didn't participate in any of that. But I always kind of stayed in school and did the things that was right in the minds of my elders. And my hustle was more so like, they say I get it from my father, just like finding creative ways to go hustle it and make money because I never always depended on a job to always be the way for me. But I always worked. I've been working since I was like 13, 14 years old. But transitioning to photography, before photography, I didn't put it in my bio, but I was doing some event planning. So pretty much I was throwing events or whatnot. And the way I got in photography, this is a crazy story because, you know, I know a lot of you guys probably have some knowledge about throwing events, and you know that sometimes your overhead can get real expensive, right? So the events that I was throwing, I kind of created it to like a more sophisticated style people and stuff like that, where you dress up, you come out, whether it be like an all white event or things of that nature. So it was pretty much you had to go, if you came to my event, you had to be like dressed up. So part of that process, well, part of the jobs within that, I had to hire a photographer, I had to hire event planners to actually like decorate. So I had to hire a lot of people. So I sat and thought to myself, I'm like, all I do in here is walk around, making sure everybody's okay. And I said, I'm having successful events, but we have to cut costs somewhere. This is funny. So I went looking for a camera. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna see. Since I'm walking around anyway, I'm gonna just take pictures of my own event. That'll save on cost. So I actually, I think I did. I think it was Craigslist back then or whatever. And I found a college kid. He had a camera for sale and it was like $100. So I said, you know what? Let me grab it. So I just picked up the camera. started taking pictures in my own event. Now I should have kept my photographer because I was terrible. So, but long story short, that's how I got into photography. I just pretty much started taking pictures. Started loving the craft and pretty much started working with people, did a lot of meetups, started working with a lot of people, different people, just doing free exchange photos like I think it's TFP, that's what it's called. I know you're familiar with that, yes. And did a lot of that, it's like trading your services or whatnot. And then I just started to love the craft. And then I just started getting people that started getting interested in my work. So, and I just studied forever and just started to continue to build. Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. And,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize that it really starts with believing in yourself. You
Yeah.
realize that, hey, in the beginning, I'm not the greatest, but you worked to get better each and every day. And that's how it is with anything, right?
Yeah.
We may not always be the greatest at the beginning, but once you continue to grow and focus and learn and really fine tune those skills, you're going to see how amazing everything turns out. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that story. And even also for the viewers watching. So TFP is a term used in the modeling industry called time for pay. And what that means is that the photographer and the model, they don't charge each other, but what it is a mutual agreement saying, hey, me as the photographer, I need you as the visual canvas, so to speak, right? The model to pose for me. And then in exchange, you'll be able to get images so that you can use it for your portfolio and I'll be able to showcase my work. So it's a good barter system process where both people win. There's no pay involved, but you're winning because it's helping you grow your portfolio. It's helping you with exposure, with even networking and connectivity overall. So yes, I'm really glad that you brought that up because that was a good lesson plan there for
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I'm gonna spotlight Cece with her questions and then I'll come back with mine.
Yeah, I love that. We're always learning. Yesy has Lady Scene Academy, and so with modeling and acting and all that stuff. So I hadn't learned that yet because I'm in the academy, right?
Okay.
That was a cool term, a really cool term. I thought about it when she was mentioning it. I'm like, oh, that's a bartering service. I love bartering. I think sometimes that you get your money's worth more with bartering. Sometimes in the monetary value. Now I know you gotta eat, you gotta have money, but sometimes that education that you get, right, that inside kind of that informational interview, that hands-on, cross-train, whatever the case, it's more valuable because that's the skill set sometimes that you can learn and you can take with you into other things. And like she said, you guys are building each other's portfolio, so it's a win-win for everyone. And I love that. And then as you both grow and become popular and famous and all that stuff, then you're like, okay, now we pay, we're in the money, we can do it.
I tell people relationships are way more valuable than money. So
absolutely. Yeah. I concur.
Yeah.
So you have kind of like a jack of all trades. So I love the whole thing with photography. In the photography, right? Were there any like certain people, like as you were learning your craft, like, because it's important to invest in your craft and anything, right? If you want to be better at stuff, you gotta invest in it. So what were some of the tools or resources that you used to invest in yourself? I know one of mine is like YouTube University, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what were some of the things that you used to get yourself a lot better with using photography?
So I did have a mentor. So that was very important to me. Actually, it was at my corporate job that I was at. We actually, I actually had got promoted to a role, and the guy that was back there in the department with me, he was actually a photographer. And I always seen his pictures and stuff, like he'd have them posted in his toolbox and stuff like that. So he was an older guy, and I just got with him, and I was like, tell me what you know. And we just had our conversation, and he actually had a studio. And yes, you've been to that studio before out in Freeway. He actually had a studio, and I started, partnering with him with the studio. And he taught me pretty much 75% of everything I know hands-on. So I'm thankful for him. And God bless his soul, he passed away last year unexpectedly. But I bought most of his equipment too that he used. So that was me honoring his craft, and I bought it from his wife. But yeah, he definitely taught me a lot and really molded me into what I am today.
I love that. I'm sorry for your loss and everything, but it's pretty cool that you were able to purchase his gear. So it's kind of like he's always with you, and it's you're out there. So That's super cool. So it's like it lives on, it lives on. I want
Yeah.
to shift gears a little bit and talk about this real estate game, right? So I'm always loving
Yeah.
people in real estate. I think it's so phenomenal. So what kind of gotten you into the field of real estate? And tell us about some of the things like the down and the dirty, right? That people need to know about real estate. Because you see a lot of, commercials out there and YouTubes and all this stuff, and people say, oh, you're going to make all this money and so on and so forth, especially when you're flipping homes, right? You got to kind of know what you're buying. If you're paying too much, you're paying too little, how funding comes into play. So talk to us a little bit about that whole picture, right, when it comes to real estate.
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, I kind of was guided by my uncle. He was into the rental space. So I kind of was like always around him with it or whatnot. And then when he passed away, I kind of like took it on and kind of like, okay, expanded it or whatnot. So I started out with rentals, that's pretty much just simply, fixing the house up, renting it out to people, and just having them a place to live. But as I think that's one of the most important um, parts of real estate is having that residual income coming in. But you also have to put into the fact of, um, your cost. You're a landlord, so you still have to like be there when things happen, and things are going to happen. But getting into the flipping business now, I had no guidance with that. And I just, like you said, I went to YouTube. I knew people that was doing it, but my first mistake was I really didn't reach out to my resources, especially on my first deal. And my first deal was terrible with flipping. So I bought a house that was too much. I paid too much for the house. I know that now as I learned. And that's the whole process I learned. And I lost on that property. But it was a learning experience. And that was the best decision I ever made buying that property because I learned so much doing that situation. But yeah, I bought the first property, um, fixed it up, and then I think it was I can't remember the year it was, 23 maybe or 22. And something happened with the market, and that property sat for like 6 months. So I was going back and forth of like, okay, I'm going to rent it out. I got my money tied up in it. I got all of these things going on. So we ended up selling it. So we got off that property. So that was great. So that first property was a big lesson for me. And from then on, I've made better decisions when purchasing.
So what are some of those key lessons, right, that you can tell maybe newbies out there how you were, right? What are some things to kind of look for? What is like a baseline? Like you have 5 top tips for something. What would you tell like those newbies, like what to do before getting into some of these deals or what to look for?
You make money off the buy. You don't never make money off the sale. So you make money off the buy. So when you buy the house right, you'll make money. And also you always have negotiation power. Be okay with walking away. Because if you walk away, that may be their only offer. They may come back. Be stern on what you want to put in this property. Know your market as well. Know where you're buying in at. Because that's very important as well. And you don't want to buy in an area that you don't foresee selling. Um, some more tips. Get great contractors. People that you trust. Also get a mentor. Is nothing more important than working with someone that's been in your shoes, because they can stop you from making the mistakes they made.
Yeah, those are great. Those are great. Also for the viewers, just FYI, in terms of this, like he gave really, really amazing tips and some of the places or agencies that you can go to utilize to get free mentors or low-cost mentors, typically a SCORE, right? So every state has SCORE, and they have mentors that offer up their time as people that's actually been in the business in which you're in. And so that's a wealth of knowledge that you can kind of pull from. You can do a membership with SCORE or not, right? But they do have those services there to where you can get a mentor pretty much in any kind of business entity that you're actually thinking about. And then the SBA as well, they offer services too. And then there's also special services as well for women, right? Disadvantage, that kind of thing. They call them the hubs, right? And then also for people with disabilities, even there's monies that are like set aside. I'm telling you guys this because I was in a webinar like yesterday. So it's like all flush. They were talking about a lot of these things. And so I know we see a lot of stuff on YouTube, like I said, all around, and people fall into these traps. You know, they like, we made, $1 million, we made $200,000. And it's like, okay, did you really, after everything was said and done, right? I'm doing the bad first deal that you had that taught you a whole life lesson to where you're not making those kinds of things anymore. I have one further question. When it goes to, finding out your contractor, right? Finding out who the good contractors are. I know a lot of it comes by word of mouth, but are there any, like, no one just knows anyone? You're in a new place, new state, new city, you don't know anyone. How can one go in to vet, a contractor to make sure that, they are really, really good? I know we can read the reviews and things of that nature, but is there anything else, right, that a person can do to make sure that they are getting connected with the right person, like a really good contractor?
Oh, you said it. I think the reviews, yeah, that's a hard one because, like I said, I mean, some contractors that sound good on paper and may not be what they say they are. Definitely, you just have to see their work. You have to really build a relationship with them. Always be there on the job, kind of like always be around when they're doing things. Don't pay them up front. I mean, these are some of the things that you can save a lot of money by doing. So yeah, you pretty much said it. I mean, you just have to vet them out, and how that looks is just, I don't know. You just gotta find the right person. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying this. I've been through two different contractors. I mean, I really haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had any bad experiences. I got with someone that I liked and I trust them. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yesy?
Awesome questions and responses. Yes.
And also just to piggyback off that. So also with the people that I've learned from or mentored from, they give great recommendations as well. So, that's another thing too. Like, get with someone that's in the business that can kind of like say like, okay, I know this guy's who he say he is,
Awesome. Thank you for that. So Byron, I'm going to shift lanes a little bit, and we're going to talk about your experience in corporate America and the correlation of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
So leaving the security and structure of corporate America, especially for entrepreneurship, can be intimidating and a little stressful for many, right? Because it's like, hey, you have the security blanket, so to speak, and now you're taking that risk or that leap, right? So, and then especially you spent 2 decades in the corporate world. So what did that chapter of your life really teach you? And when did you realize that you wanted something different? And also, with that in mind, what was the hardest part about making that mental shift? So question there is, hardest part about mental shift. What did that chapter in your life teach you? And then when did you realize that it was time for something different? It was time to leave corporate America.
You're right. The stability part. So what it taught me. So like I said, let me go back. So 20, yeah, I spent 20 years in corporate America. But for a long time, for the last 5 years of that 20, I always thought of an exit. I always been thinking of an exit plan, just kind of like, what am I going to do if something happens? Because I mean, nothing's guaranteed. And I didn't leave corporate America voluntarily. Um, I was part of a big corporate layoff. And I was unfortunately one of the ones that had got laid off or whatnot. So, but fortunately, I was really like starting in my real estate journey then. So, what that did for me, it freed a little time for me to kind of focus on my real estate journey. But it also changed a lot of, it just changed me a lot because it was like, okay, I've lost stability. What am I going to do next? But I didn't let it define me. So I just strapped up my boots and said, you know what? I'm going to go head on with this real estate thing and see what happens. And I'm glad I did. I hope to answer your questions, Jesse. I was hopefully I can.
Yeah, no, that yeah.
Okay.
So it sounds like you took the bull by the horns. And the reason why I'm asking that is because there might be a lot of people that may relate to you and they probably just don't know what to do, right? And so hearing it from your perspective and what you did and how you pivoted and shifted and really used your resources around you to really think outside the box
Yeah.
could help somebody, because sometimes people, they're defined by who they were at one point and now that was taken away. Then what do they do next, right? So that was pretty much the purpose of me asking that, is just more for like the food for thought for a person that is dealing with something similar, how you were able to pivot out of it and what recommendations would you have for them?
Yeah, and I'm gonna just throw a tidbit also. What I want to say also, in corporate world, I didn't learn this. I kind of just thought about this before I was dismissed from the job. I worked for a Fortune 500 company. Um, but what I did, I paid attention to how they ran their businesses. I soaked that up. I paid attention to all the things that they talked about. I've been in big meetings with senior management and things of that nature, and just listening to the way they run their business. It's a Fortune 500 company. It's a $1 billion company.
Right.
They are there for a reason. So I took that and put it in my mindset of saying, I need to think like that once I leave this place. So if anybody is thinking, start soaking up knowledge where you think is not there. Is knowledge there? Even if you hate a place, suck up the positive of it if you're trying to go out on your own.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And with those lines, with growth, entrepreneurship, and change, it also requires change within us, right? Mentally, spiritually, right?
Yeah.
And so, what version of you, Byron, did you have to let go in order for you to become who you are today at this very moment and who we're speaking to right now?
That's a good question. The version of comfortability, being comfortable, being complacent, that version I had to let go. Because all of those things that was in place for me made me that way. So I knew once I had left that job and really went into entrepreneurship, there was no more complacency. So you had to really get up and go out there and get it. So I can say that's one of the things that actually trained me.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
definitely, and even being an entrepreneur myself, it is definitely about going out to get it, because nobody's going to get it for you.
No,
You
not
want
at
to
all.
be, if you want to see your business grow, blossom, and be successful, definitely one, partnering with the right people, two, definitely marketing, but really changing your mindset to say something needs to change. I need to put myself out there. So yeah, I appreciate you saying that for sure.
And don't be scared to go outside of your comfort zone and your hometown and everything like that. And that's one of the things as well. Because I've noticed a lot that, your hometown would be the last people to support you.
Woo.
So going outside of your comfort zone is very important. I've met so many wonderful people that I never known before, and 80 to 90% of my clients are people I didn't grow up with.
That is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely good food for thought for sure.
Yeah.
I'm going to spotlight Cece to see if she has any other questions for you.
Yeah, it was powerful. I didn't have any more questions, but it was powerful what you just said, because you're right. The people that you think would show up in your corner, the people that know you, they rock with you all, they don't show up.
No.
The strangers, it's like, oh my goodness. It reminds me of a story in the Bible. Jesus showed up and wanted to do all these wonderful miracles in his hometown, and nobody was like, oh, that's just Jesus. That's just Mary and Joseph's son.
Yeah.
And
Right. And you gotta have a strong mind to get through that too, because you already think that's supposed to happen, but no. And you can't be upset because they don't. I mean, if they don't, you can't make somebody do something.
Right.
So
you're right.
yeah, you just gotta have a strong man. Because a lot of people can really get upset and start ranting on Facebook and all this stuff, and that's not professional. Just find your tribe. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. I
Be
love
okay
that.
that it might not be with people that look like you, right?
Exactly.
Language as you, right? From the same continent as you. You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
You gotta be okay with that. Yep. I love it. No, it's been a pleasure. I'm so happy that we had you on.
No problem.
Just knowledge to gain here, just seeing you, step out. You know what I'm saying? It's almost as if like your life was like positioned to kind of go down this path, in a sense, like God was saying, hey, I'm going to take you out of this because I have so much more in you to bring forth and to pull out of you. You know what I'm saying? And so now you're entrepreneur, this businessman with multiple, like you're seeing different facets of yourself. Like I don't just do real estate, but I do photography and I do investing and I do this, and you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, wow, So I'm super proud of you. So thank you for being on the show.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, but we're not done quite yet. Yeah, I have one more. There's still a couple layers here. So I'm going to ask my final question. And then what we're going to do is go to our last minute words. And that's an opportunity for me, you, and Cece to remind people where they can find us, follow us, what's next, anything that our heart desires. And then we get to conclude the show. We still have a little bit more time. So for the viewers and listeners, don't go anywhere because we're still here. Just saying, right?
Yeah, we're here.
All right. So my main question is, what's next for you, and how can people connect with you, where they can find you, follow your journey, and learn more about just you, your business, photography, etc.
What's next for me? Still out here trying to find deals on the real estate side, and just pretty much. Yeah, that's me. It's just I'm out here trying to find deals. We also have something coming up. Yeah, see, me and you have something coming up. I'm sure we'll talk about that as well. Just that's it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. Well, thank you for that. So I'm going to have Cece lead us with the last minute words. Byron, you can go second. I'll close out the show. And
Absolutely. So, hey, I'm your girl, Sandra, the Actions with Inspire for Purpose, and also Girls with Gigs, where we put it into action, right? Equipping you, empowering you, and helping you to execute your mission. So check us out on the www at inspireforpurpose.com and also girlswithgigs.com. And remember this, the greatest victory is not conquering others. It is simply mastering yourself under God's guidance. As always, love and light and inspire for purpose.
Good deal. Good deal. Yes, I'm Byron Ferrell. You can find me on all platforms. Byron Ferrell Photography. That's Instagram. That's Facebook. Threads. You can find me there. Also, we do have a space for you guys if you ever want to take photos or whatnot. And also, You can also reach out to me if you have any real estate questions, if you want to get into business, and also any type of investment, stock options, any things of that nature. We'll be rolling out some workshops with that as well. And if I can just leave you guys with anything, I just want you to ask yourself 3 questions whenever you're trying to become an entrepreneur. Ask yourself, what are you building? Um, what do you want to leave behind? And what's your purpose? And I appreciate you guys again.
All right. Yes, thank you. So we had another amazing episode of Hoy en Día TV. We talked about so many juicy topics and our special guest here. So thank you, Byron, for joining us. You have been a pleasure. And then also what Byron was alluding to is we do have a workshop, costume, character, and camera workshop coming up. And so the flyer is going to be going out shortly. I just shared it with Byron earlier, but I'm really excited. This is happening October 10th in Dunn, North Carolina. It's only limited to 25 models. And this is an experience for you to come out and have fun, but also learn how to pose, especially. And I'm encouraging costumes because at that point, there's some people that celebrate Halloween, but for those who don't like to go out, but they still want to have a reason to get dressed, come join us. Definitely open to 14 and older. With the 14 to 17 range, they do require a guardian. But it's all about networking, having fun, building your portfolio, especially from a costume and character perspective, because you just never know. There's different types of magazines looking for different submissions, and also learning how to pose, how to bring that character to life. And Byron is going to be featured. He's a featured photographer there who's going to help me with that workshop. So for those who are serious about this workshop, it is being brought by Slay the Scene Academy. So for those who are serious, come and join us. Also, there's going to be so many other workshops focused on acting and just development overall coming very soon. I have a lot of them that I have to upload to the website, yessirodriguez.com. On the upper left-hand corner, just select Slay the Scene. Also, for those who have missed any of our past episodes and you want to know more about Hoy en Día, listen to what we have to say. There's tons of past episodes that we have. Go on my website, yessirodriguez.com. There's also a drop-down for Hoy en Día, and you can listen to our different platforms. We are on Apple Music, Spotify Music, Samsung Music, Amazon Music. We're in a bunch of different platforms, praise God, so people can really hear us. Also, if you have a Google, just go on Google, type in Hoy en Día TV podcast. It'll pull up different platforms where we're at. So you can really listen to us if you're walking at the gym, cooking, cleaning, what have you, whatever it is, you can listen to what we have to say here at Hoy en Día TV. And for those who want to find me and follow me, I am Yessi Rodriguez. You can find me on Google. Just type in Yessi. You can see all that I have going on. And I want to thank you all in advance for just supporting me, my team, Hoy en Día, everything that we have going on, and just for you all being you. So gracias. Thank you all for everything. You have a wonderful, beautiful night. Hasta pronto. See you next week.